Welcome back to the Fear
and Beer podcast,
where we discuss all things Halloween Horror Nights, horror movies,
and just a little bit of beer.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Seamus.
Like scary movies.
Uh-huh.
Here's Johnny.
It's alive. It's alive. It's alive.
Did you miss me? Aren't you drinking?
I never drink. Why?
Before we get into tonight's episode, we want to remind all of those listening on Apple Podcasts to drop us a 5-star review. It helps us grow as a podcast and build our audience. If you're listening on Spotify or any other platform, follow us, and don't forget to share with friends and family who might have a little bit of the strange in them as well.
And while you're on those socials, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, be sure to find us, Fear and Beer Pod. Give us a like, share, and you can always message us. We love to interact with all you guys.
I feel snazzy.
If you are only listening to this in podcast form, why don't you hop over to our YouTube because we dressed up for this one.
Yeah, you should watch us on
snazzy.
YouTube. Fuck Spotify. Just listen. I'm just kidding. I mean, listen to us on Spotify, but you should come check the YouTube video. I look like the dude from Jimmy Eat World right now. My Jimmy Eat World haircut going on.
You don't want to ask what's below because I have the jacket, the tie.
What you're saying is we have shorts on.
And I have gym shorts and slippers. So if you were wondering, that will answer your question.
That is literally how most of us are working right now. If you're working from home, you're working in like good top, shorts on the bottom.
Professional up top.
Yep.
Ready to go to the gym down below, I guess.
It's world's best, worst kept secret that no one goes to meetings anymore with dress pants on anymore.
Yes. So here we are, our second annual HHN Awards.
Yeah.
Presented by Fear and Beer.
Excited for this episode. Sad because it means the year is over.
It means the end, but it's a celebration. I put decorations. We have decorations out on the table.
Yeah.
We do have little party poppers, so if you hear some pops after some certain awards, like I said, you're going to have to check the visuals and go to YouTube. Some of these
light up?
I don't know.
I think you have to light them.
We're going to find out.
I guess we're going to
I don't know. Caution flammable. What could possibly go wrong?
Can we set off?
I got this one big one that was like...
I'm pretty sure these are like...
Know.
I
think you just pull them.
Okay. All right.
I think you pull them. We'll find out.
Says flammable.
There's no way this goes
If this is our last episode, it's been great, and I'm glad everyone listened to us up to this point.
There's no way it goes wrong. All right, so I don't think we're actually going to do a final rankings epised because I think this is kind of like our send-off to the season.
Yeah. No one needs to hear me bitch about monsters again.
But yeah, so this, I'm sure we'll talk about HHN31 at some point, but instead of doing like a rankings episode, we like to have some fun with it. So we're going to do some awards. We have some special guest presenters today. Seamus has not heard the recordings.
I have not heard the recordings.
They are very fun. I'm excited.
I mean, are we just going to like bougie this and like just like hold the thing up to this, or are we gonna actually add them into the
We'll see how it plays out.
Okay.
I'll play it over the microphone.
Either way,
if it doesn't pick up,
you will be on our podcast. Whether you can hear yourself is the other question.
If we can't hear it, I'm gonna dub it over. So I guess we should just get into the beer.
Yeah, why don't we drink about some beer, because beer is always important.
So I saved these bad boys.
I'll let you talk about these because
made on honor, sold on merit. If you don't know the slogan, that is for Narragansett. But this is their Presents Del Shandy. So this is a pretty exclusive up north. You might be able to find them. Narragansetts are easy to find down here, but the Del's Shandy is not so much easy to find down here. Del's is like a little Rhode Island-based lemonade stand, lemonade style stuff. So they partnered up, did a little shandy together, and this is this bad boy is just
being Northern
it's a perfect
boys,
celebration beer.
Being Northern boys, we've had this many a time, but I haven't had this in a while. So
this
I'm
is
excited.
a fun one. So let's crack these open.
Ooh.
Woo!
Hello.
So I did want to thank everyone that sent in our special guest presentations. I know it was kind of a quick turnaround. I was like, oh shit, our award show's coming up. We should try and get some people on. And then I messaged it out, and we got a lot people helping us out, coming back pretty quick with us. So thank you again very much for that. Also, thank you to the listeners. This year we added a different little portion. We have our listeners awards section where we had 5 or 6 categories. Open survey. You can put whatever you want in there. And we tallied them up, and we got some winners from the listeners. So that was fun. It's fun to participate in that sense, where we can kind of bring the audience into our episode as well. So I'm going to polish off this little beer to the top. I'm going to take my first sip, and then I think we can get started. Just as magically delicious as I have ever expected. So, shall we just jump into these?
Yeah.
Just go right on in?
What order do you want to do this
So,
in?
I think we can start with the listeners' awards.
Yeah?
We'll get those out of the way.
do those up front then.
And we'll kind of work our way back up the list, which will send us kind of into our funky / miscellaneous awards, bringing us to our Scare Zone awards, and then finishing with the true, hero of the HHN event, which is houses. We did do some runners up. We have some honorable mentions in various spots. But let's get this started. Let's just go with the Scariest House Listeners Award. So the listeners voted. Oh, actually, I got a little thing that I gotta pull up first. So for the listeners' Scariest House Award, we have Universal Monsters: Legends Collide.
That's not surprising.
With a majority of the votes.
It's not surprising.
It was pretty high up there.
I never said I wasn't in the minority with my viewpoint.
This house did bring a lot of scares. There was a lot of energy.
Well, we should. Yeah, I mean,
and we'll discuss the houses as we go. I guess we kind of did
we'll
last
talk
week
about it a
bit.
little bit.
But
I mean, we should obviously bring up that it did win their internal House of the Year.
It did. Yep.
That was a surprise to me, but I can accept why they gave it to it, because if it's really scare actor based, then yes. If you're going solely on scare actors, I could see why someone would vote for this as House of the Year. So I think it definitely deserves it in that sense. But obviously I look at it differently, and we all know, so I won't get into it, but we will just put that out there that this was not unexpected, completely unexpected, I guess.
No, I don't disagree with the votes. I think it was pretty close with a couple other houses, and I think Scariest House is one of our house awards as well. So I think we'll get into that once we get into our little section. Do you want to go through the next award?
Yeah, so we did Scariest House. This is actually a 3-way tie.
This is
for Best Scare Actor in a House.
So Best Scare Actor in a House.
Yeah, and we'll let you do your little sound effect.
It's a long drum roll.
That's a really long drum roll. So tied with 5 votes apiece, we have the Scuba Scare Actor in Dead Man's.
Scuba Divers.
Which was my personal favorite this year. The Violinist, also from Dead Man's Pier. And Dracula from the Monsters House.
And in particular, a lot of them were the Bungee Dracula.
Yeah, and I think that I can see why that... Yeah, I can see why that one would do well, because if we talked about it the last night, we all did the event together. We went to that house, and Nick and I got to actually experience that part of that house where all 3 of them are together. And I'll admit, when that happens, if you can get that to happen in your run through, it does make the house that much better. It's really awesome to see that. You don't get to see that too often in a lot of houses where you have 3 separate scare actors in the same room.
Yeah.
So that, yeah, I can see why that would win. I'm a little surprised it wasn't just the clear winner.
Yeah.
And
It was
a tie.
There was a lot of different
A lot of different choices.
Choices, yes, because
sure.
it was an open-ended question. It wasn't like a drop-down, select multiple choice.
Right.
So people put in whichever they want. So like, there was a couple votes thrown for one person, a couple votes here, a couple votes there, and it was very scattered about. So let's get into Scare Actor in a Zone. So again, these are the listener awards, and the listeners had voted that.
We're gonna do this every time.
Maybe
be prepared.
The twins from Graveyard Deadly Unrest.
They were awesome. I think I think if I had probably given it a little bit more thought, because I think my scare actor, my personal favorite scare actor in a scare zone this year was the sorceress from Conjure the Dark. I really think her show was great. I think she's an awesome character, and the actresses that played, or actors I should say, that played that, they all did wonderful. But yeah, I can see these two being really popular.
I mean, they nailed it, and I don't remember seeing them the first weekend.
Either.
I think it was something that kind of popped up maybe later, and I could be wrong, but I feel like they had so many different interactions. I feel like a character has like a couple things that they do, a couple things to pull out of their repertoire, and then the twins constantly kind of were doing something. They were playing patty cake, they were staring at each other, they were chasing, they were dancing with each other, they were running around.
They made a lot of people stop. Like it was like if you're walking through that zone and you see them, you're gonna stop and interact with them for a little bit because they are so unique. I think it's crazy that they found actual twins.
I'm not sure if they. I don't know. If
I think they were. Everything I heard was that they were.
Okay.
Now that's going off of what I see on Twitter and I see from people. I mean, you might be right. Maybe they weren't twins, but they look damn close.
Yeah.
I mean, they look pretty damn close.
If it is, that's a really cool thing. A really cool anomaly.
Whether it is or isn't, it's awesome because like Universal went out of their way to either find a pair of twins that
or they
wanted
did, and
to
they're
do
like,
it, or we
could do something with that.
They tied it up because I feel like it's one of those things where like you get two sisters or brothers that apply, and they're twins. You're gonna make something out. Like,
you have to figure a way to.
You're gonna
spin
figure a way
that.
to make that a thing. You're not just gonna put them in random places. You're gonna say you're twins. We're gonna use that.
Yeah.
So that's why I think that they actually are, but. Hey, if you guys happen to listen to us, let us know. If not, if you work for Universal and you can confirm or deny it, let us know. Because it was really, really convincing either way.
Yeah, I thought that added a lot to the Scare Zone. It was very fun.
Not that Scare Zone needed it. That Scare Zone was
but it was
so
just
good
that
the way it was. But
a little icing on the cake.
Yeah, for sure.
So then you want to hop over to that next one?
So we
you got a big one, a special one.
Oh, the food? Yeah. So we doing the whole drum roll again?
No, I'll do it every now and then. I'll do it every now and then.
So winning the food with 6 votes is the pizza skulls that were found right off of Major Sweets, that little byway between Sweets and Terminator.
I love those little fuckers.
Terminator, fucking Transformers. What am I talking about? I didn't actually get a chance to have them.
Oh, they were so simple yet so good.
I've heard they were good, obviously. Were they like pizza pockets kind of thing?
It was a hot pocket.
Like a hot pocket.
It had much better breading.
I believe it.
It was cooked.
It's one of the things I wish
well.
I had.
It was such a simple item, but like again, when you look at previous year, grilled cheese. I feel like now the last 2 years simplicity has worked. It's just keeping it simple and that's just how it is.
I think that like we kind of covered a little bit last week with our episode last week that it's hard to compare the food from both the last year and this year because they're still kind of like learning what works and what doesn't. But I feel like this year, had a lot more varied options. It wasn't like a few extra things here and there, but then the usual pizza fries and potato on a stick. What
the twisted taters. Yeah.
Sorry. Whereas like you could see last year, there was a line around the friggin' block to get a twisted tater. Now
they forced them to open up a second block.
There was nothing really to. There really wasn't a line for those, but I think it speaks to the volume or the variety of items that we had.
Yeah.
The fact that I didn't get a chance to try everything, I think, is a big. I don't know what you should say, but
it just goes to show how big it is.
It goes to show you for how different the options were this year. So
yeah, they've definitely added to the foods. That was one of the big wins for this year. Not that there was like a lot of losses and stuff, but like a big win for this last year.
Yeah,
and the previous year is growing in the food department.
Yeah, for sure. And I think they're only going to get better. I think they may not have that many more options, but at least we know that they're going to theme it. It's going to be interesting every year what we get, and it won't just be the same things every time.
Yeah, it's fun. It is fun to see how they can tie it in to the houses, the properties that they have, and stuff like that.
For sure.
So let's move on over to the Scare Zone of the Year, dubbed from the listeners.
The listeners' Scare Zone of the Year.
The listeners' Scare Zone of the Year. So, with just 3 more votes...
This was close.
...than the next, the listeners have voted that Sweet's Revenge is the top Scare Zone.
See, we don't disagree on everything, guys.
We do not disagree on everything.
Seamus is an asshole in some ways, but in this one, he agrees with you. Major Sweets is awesome. It was such a good zone.
It took 3. It was 3 votes ahead of Graveyard Deadly,
which would be
Unrest.
my second choice.
So that just goes to show you how how tight this was, and really goes to show you how well overall the Scare Zones were, because there was multiple votes for Scarecrow as well, a couple for Horrors of Halloween, which I don't think deserved
Yeah,
it.
they definitely
Conjure the Dark had a couple. Like it was
awesome. Again, I could make a case for all three of those scare zones to be the best scare zone of the year, whether it's Conjure, Graveyard, or Sweets.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is you and I looked at Conjure and Graveyard in the beginning of our hype
it was
episodes
I think it was
2
like
months
4
ago.
and 5.
We were very we weren't sure, and a lot of it had to do with the fact we just didn't know what they were gonna be.
Yeah, it was just such
I wasn't
a simple
super high
name.
on
It was
sorcery and that sort of thing, but it really did kind of surprise me how well I liked it. And Graveyard, obviously, we all know how awesome that turned out to be.
Yeah.
Took a very simple idea and still did something seemingly fresh with it, which was nice. But yeah, I can't disagree with what the listeners came up with for this one. So
Yeah. So now to our final.
So I get the big one,
listeners
huh?
award. So I think this is gonna be my first popper.
We're gonna pop.
We're gonna pop. So just be if it comes through loud, I'm sorry, and I'm not gonna bring it down.
It's gonna suck if these go in our beer, but
Oh yeah.
so with 16 votes, our listeners' House of the Year goes to Dead Man's Pier.
Woo!
Oh, that's loud as fuck.
So stupid. Oh, now it just smells like those things you throw at
it
the
smells
ground.
so gross.
Oh, this is a terrible idea. And
Oh my God.
the confetti didn't go anywhere; it just shot off in the air in like a little clump somewhere. Oh,
So,
it's gonna be miserable to clean up.
In the runners-up position with 9 votes, it will go to Universal Monsters. I forget
Legends
the tag.
Collide.
Legends Collide. There you go. So right around where I figured it would be. I'm honestly a little surprised that
Oh, I don't know why I won twice. I'm so bad at this.
they're gonna realize that they're not real people clapping for
It's
us.
so bad.
Come on, man. No. I'm a little surprised that Chupacabras didn't get more love than I thought it would. But again, not at all surprised that Deadman won
Yeah.
and Monsters came in second. I think Monsters really did pick up steam as the year went along.
Yes.
Or as the season went along, and people really did kind of fall in love with that house.
Yes,
I mean,
yeah.
they obviously saw things that I don't agree with, but that's just, again, neither here nor there. But I can totally understand why it either A would have won or come in second like it did. So
Yeah, it's I think speaking to the terms of picking up steam with Monsters and stuff like that, I think when we first all collectively walked into Dead Man's Pier, everyone was like, "Oh my god. This is beautiful, it's amazing." And it not to say that feeling ever left, but it kind of felt like it just sort of stayed the same at the same high level. Whereas
Yeah.
Monsters was kind of mid, and then the actors just kind of geared up and ramped up.
and I've said it already before.
Caught up a little bit.
I've already said it multiple times. I think that house worked because of the actors. Mm-hmm. I mean, if it wasn't for the actors, that house would have been even more boring than I think it already was.
Yeah. So let's get into our awards, and before we do, this little skull right here.
Oh boy.
Again, if you're listening,
Hey, buddy.
this means nothing to you. And if you're watching, this means nothing as well,
Yeah,
because
because
it's just
we're
a
not giving it to
little
anybody.
plastic skull that nobody's going to get, but I'm going to pretend that it's the award, so I have something
We think we're more
to
important than we
hand
really
down.
are.
Yeah, this award show is pretty much like Whose Line Is It Anyway,
Yeah,
where the rules rules are made up and the points don't matter.
No one at Universal is going to listen to us and go, man, they were right.
Yeah. Oh wow, they nailed it.
They're gonna be
But
like those fucking douchebags.
we're drinking beer and we have a plastic skull and some party poppers that don't pop.
Just
So
know that
that's just how we roll here.
if we ever get a Halloween 3 house, it's going to be winner just by default.
it already
just
won.
keep that in mind.
It already won.
So where are we starting?
So let's just start with the bottom awards, these little miscellaneous awards that I gave out.
That was
just
what
for
you came up
fun.
with. I didn't even
Yeah.
have anything to know about
I was
this.
really bored, so I was like, you know what? I think we should add some little random awards in here.
I'm gonna let you start because this is your hot take that you've carried through the whole entire
So
season.
this award, this little tiny golden skull
See,
award,
he's gonna give you reasons to hate him too,
goes
not just
to
me.
this is the I'm all set with it award. Meaning, this is something that was fun while it lasted. I appreciate what it did. I it's not you, it's me kind of thing. It was a fun time while we had it. But I'm kind of done with it right now. I'm a little over it, and that's a little Boo, and he can stay the fuck in the dumpster wherever Universal put that little fucker. No, he was really fun on Wicked Growth, and it was that pseudo plastic celebrity where you're like, oh, I saw a little Boo, and then he got absolutely just shown about like a little, like Little Miss Sunshine, like those little beauty contests.
Yeah.
Like just like, oh,
They put
these
them on a
people like
t-shirt.
Little Boo. Let's put them on a shirt. Let's put them on a pillow. Let's put them on a pin. Let's put them on a hat. Let's put them on a lanyard. Let's put. Oh my God, Little Boo, you need a fucking little break. That's what he needs. So Lil Boo, you actually won an award. Here you go. Congrats. Come pick it up. The I'm All Set With It award is given out to Lil
right.
Boo. No applause needed.
Yeah, we don't need to applause that. That's fine.
No, it is in a satirical form, but definitely should probably hibernate for a year or so, and just maybe it'll make us appreciate it a little bit more. You know, one of those like, absence makes the heart grow fonder kind of thing. You know, we got buried in him, and it was just a little much. It was, no fault of his. Somebody else's fault.
Sure.
Universal's marketing.
Whatever you say. I honestly could give. I don't know if I could care any less about Lil Boo, one way or the other. Like, bring him back. I don't really care. It doesn't bother me at all. So, whatever. Now I get to do this one.
Do you understand this?
Yes,
one?
I
Okay.
understand it. It took me a minute.
Yeah, okay.
'Cause I'm a slow human, but so this is the Where the Fuck Am I award, and we give this to Halloween. And what we mean by that is, I don't think we've ever gotten lost in a house before.
Until Halloween.
This one we actually almost
Multiple
got
times.
lost into it multiple
on
times.
opening night, I walked through the boo hole, and I was like, I'm not drunk. Like, I just
don't know where I'm supposed to go.
It was when you're walking in front of the house and you take
Yeah.
that left.
Yeah.
I just kept going straight because I couldn't see the people in front of me were gone. Like they took the corner before I took that other corner, and I was like, I don't know. And I was walking very slow because I was very unsure about like where I was. Like, I don't know if I'm necessarily supposed to be here, but there was like the black tarping, so I was like, okay, like this is what they use to divide rooms or whatever. And like I kind of opened it, and someone was like, no, left. I was like, I'm so sorry. Like I don't know. It's so fucking dark in here, and that wasn't even like that darkest of a part. Like there was other portions of the house where I'm like walking around with my hands like
Yeah,
in front of
definitely.
me.
It was one of the few houses that I've ever been through that you do kind of, if you're not careful, you could get lost in it because it's so very big, so very beautiful. It's just hard to like know exactly where are we supposed to go.
Yeah. So it's good that I'm giving out this
Yeah,
award.
this is. I think we could be playing it.
This one
way.
is fitting for me. I'm glad that when we do these back and forths, it ends up fitting. This is the Never Again award. Kind of similar with the I'm All Set With It award, but I had to give it a different way.
It's a little different.
I didn't want one of these to be runner up because they're both so deserving of their own respective title.
Yeah.
So the Never Again award. There you go, little plastic scully thing. I'm presenting to the Good Guy Burger. Donut burger with jalapenos and pork belly
And Fruit Loops.
and frosting and Fruit Loops. I don't think my toilet has recovered yet.
I don't see how this has anything to do with Chucky, but
The Good
I
Guy
don't
Burger
know.
can stay. You can bring back a Good Guy Burger. Just change it. That was a catastrophe.
yeah,
It was a terrible mistake.
I didn't have it, and it looks pretty bad.
I did it just for the sake of saying I had it.
Yeah.
I was trying to get as many items as I could, and there are still some that I did miss, but this was one that was like so ridiculous that I had to try. Like I had to force myself, and I was like, it was like one of the last nights, and thankfully I planned it right. I knew I was going to be off of work the next day, so I was like, if this doesn't go well,
At least you're
I
home.
need to be in bed recovering from the nuke that I'm sending into my stomach.
Bowel
Because
surgery.
this thing is just like, it should come with a warning label. Like,
Let's just say it didn't. It lived up to its name.
yeah, like if you're over 30, steer clear.
Don't have
This
something like
thing is just going to be atrocious. And the worst, you want to know the worst part?
No,
It honestly, well, the worst
it's okay.
part.
You can tell me. It's fine.
No, it honestly didn't taste that bad. It was
I
just
don't
so
believe-
much nonsense.
Yeah, I believe that's true. I mean, donut burgers do work in certain cases.
But it was just like frosting.
Yeah, it's
So
just
sweet,
over the top.
spice with jalapeno, savory with the meat. Like it was just.
It was the
It did too much.
It was the one food item that literally made zero sense.
Yeah, it was like, well, we got all this extra shit. Let's just throw it together.
I mean, I
on
guess
one.
like it's cool to have those wacky food ideas, but like I feel like it's something you would have put with like the deep fried Oreos and
Yes.
Twinkie or something like
Yes.
that. I feel like it's one of those.
Almost like the
things.
jacked up burger from last year. It was like jacked up burger on steroids, essentially.
Like you should have done like fucking Tiffany's cookies or something at that one.
Yeah.
She made cookies in Bride of Chucky, I
Yeah.
think. Like do something like that. Don't
Yep.
do a weird fucking burger with blood frosting.
Maybe they made it because, like, just like Chucky, it's going to stab your insides.
Yeah, I guess so. That's a good way to look at it. I did have the beignet from there. That was good.
The beignets were good.
Interesting.
They had some decent stuff. I mean, overall, the food, I think we've said a couple times already, is just a big win. But with every win, there comes a small loss.
Yeah, I mean, not everything's gonna work.
And it came
with
at
your
my expense.
Insides, so
All right, so moving on up. You got this one?
yeah. So this is the "You'll Never Get It, but Sometimes You Do" award. Now that sounds sexual, but it's not. It is the Monster Triple Scare, which we had already kind of talked about a little bit with Dracula, the Wolfman, and the Mummy. If you manage to get them all at once,
It's amazing.
it is an amazing scare. And I wouldn't even call it a scare. It's one of those like show scares.
It's a moment.
It's a moment which makes that house more special. And we did at least get to see that once, so that was kind of cool. So yeah, that's why they get the you'll never get it, but sometimes you do.
So next up, we're kind of drifting more into our real awards now. So with real awards, we're gonna have some more poppers. So I'll give out. So this is our biggest surprise. This is all throughout the event, scare
Just the
zones,
entire event
houses,
itself.
just kind of like where we sort of pre-ranked stuff just by name, and how much it flipped on itself and actually surprised us, and is how well it was executed. And the biggest surprise award for us goes to Graveyard Deadly Unrest. Because I know at the beginning I wasn't like super
I was
high
down on
it. I thought it was cool. I if I had to think back, it was probably number 3 on my list, maybe 3 or 4.
Yeah, I know mine was 5. So.
But it was in that middle like area, and it really shot up for me. It was definitely much better than I had expected. And for this, we also have our honorable mention, or our runner-up, I guess. And for the runner-up, we did Descendants of Destruction.
Yeah.
Because, again, this was one that when we were talking about previously, before we had gone through the event, it was a name that didn't really give us much. We weren't exactly sure what the whole story entailed, what the house was going to be about. Is it going to be mole people? Is it going to be, we just had no clue. And it did surprise me. It came around. This house, much like Monsters did, this is a house that grew on me. The more I went through it, the more I enjoyed it. The more I got the story.
Yeah.
The UV lights in the back end of the house was awesome. I mean, the set design inside there was just ridiculous.
I think
the 4 subway cars in one sprung tent is just, it's mind blowing.
Yeah, I think honestly it grew on me after doing the RIP or the Unmasking the Horror tour.
Mm-hmm.
I think after that tour, I had already was kind of surprised by it. I liked it, but after the tour, I was like, I got to give this house more love. I've definitely got to do it more than I have been doing it.
Yeah.
Because I think that I didn't give it enough of a chance initially.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did give it more of a chance because that house really was. I mean, it's honestly for me the most surprising house.
Yeah,
overall, not the biggest surprise.
Because a lot of the other ones, like we kind of, Halloween, you know what you're getting. The Weekend, I had a fairly idea of what we were getting. Monsters, you get it. Like the only ones that were kind of like, what is exactly in this house?
Yeah,
was kind of Descendants, Spirits, and Hellblock Horror.
Right.
Those were the only 2 that were like, I don't really know what's in here.
Right.
Yeah. So moving on up, we have our best merch. And this was, I think I just picked it, but I really enjoyed the design on this.
I'll let you talk about it, but the best merch goes to the Every Day is Halloween t-shirt.
Yep. I mean, I just love this design. They had fun with it. It's the big 31 logo.
Yep.
You have like the skull popping out, the Halloween cat. I mean, I think merch overall this year was pretty good.
It was good. Yeah, I think it was pretty good.
I feel like there was a little less shirts maybe. I could be wrong.
No, I don't know.
Maybe not.
I think there were more designs.
Yeah.
I think last year we got more of the classic designs, like this is like the event from '99, or this is the event from '93. So
All the
like
throwback.
they gave you a reason to like collect those.
That's probably why I thought that.
But it feels almost like that was like the same merch. You just got certain ones.
Yeah.
And there was some carryover from
The
the
previous,
light, the HHN light.
Yeah.
This year, I think we got a lot of different varied options.
Yeah, and I feel like last year too was so like merch wise Beetlejuice heavy because that was like
For
the big
sure,
like
yeah.
seller. But like I mean, just overall, like the Michael Myers sweatshirt, like that artisan style done was really cool. This is so far probably my favorite house shirt. It's got like the old school skeleton logo. It almost reminds me of like Gravedigger, the monster truck.
Yeah. I will admit, the one merch that I was a little bit let down on because I didn't even buy it was the Weekend shirt. I kind of was hoping a little bit more
It was
than just a
his
picture of his face.
Yeah, and it said like After Hours Nightmare
On the back, it did, and I think that's cool. But
Just
I feel like they
fine.
could have done more.
Yeah.
like give me more of like the characters from the house.
Yeah.
like give me the nurse.
Or
give
do
me
like the
him.
Weekend like with his head being held.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
chopped
yeah,
off
yeah.
head
Give
or
me
something.
something a little bit more creative than that. But then again, who knows? Maybe that's all you allowed. Who
Yeah,
knows?
yeah.
Which kind of sucks. If that's the case, that sucks because
Yeah.
I think that was it was a boring T-shirt.
Yeah.
But other than that, all the merch I was super taken
Yeah.
by. So,
Next up we have Best Drink.
well, this is obvious.
None of them. The beer wins.
Yeah.
I don't care what beer. Let's
beer
just
wins.
say Lacto Cooler. Lacto Cooler was a nice addition to this event.
Yeah, it was cool to have something different than just like a pumpkin beer.
Yeah, and like I'm
And
all
no
for,
shade on pumpkin beers.
and
I
all-
like pumpkin beers.
we're big big supporters of pumpkin beer.
Yeah.
Say that 5 times fast. But it was nice having something a little bit different. What I really did like, I wish it was there the whole time, but they added the Elysian Chucky.
Oh,
I think it was like a wit.
I never got a chance to have that.
It's I don't want to say it's really good, but it was a nice change of pace.
I'm sure I could find that somewhere.
You know, they had an October Fest, they had a pumpkin beer, they had the
Yeah.
Lacto Cooler the whole time, which was like probably their biggest seller.
I would think so.
So
you can only
I'm-
have like one or two of them because
Yeah,
it's like it's a
so
sour,
sour.
and it like definitely fucks with your.
and I like the
esophagus.
sours, but it is a little bit. But I do hope that the success of the Lacto Cooler and the Elysian allows Universal to be like, hey, we're kind of missing a big demographic here, which is the beer drinkers.
Well,
you know,
it
they're
will be-
gonna drink beer, but if we put a different beer that's maybe $1 more,
Well, what will be cool
they might buy it.
is they already have a local brewery do all their Duff beers, so they should really start considering doing some like HHN themed beer. Like work
Right.
with that brewery, work with some other brewery. I just find a couple local guys, and just see if you can maybe come up with some ideas that are just even if you take like a normal recipe that they usually use, but then just rebrand it for the event and make it more like unique, where like you can't get it.
You have to get it at
Like,
HHN.
you have to get it at HHN. I think that would be kind of cool.
You could theme beers after icons.
Yeah,
like-
I mean, they did a great. I'll admit they did a great job with their drink selection.
Yeah.
and the various drinks. I mean, they're all
I'm
like
just not a big
typical
cocktail
mix.
person.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
neither am I. And if I'm at a theme park and I got to drive home at the end of the night, I don't want to have a big vodka drink. But for a lot of
Yeah.
people that are staying on property, it makes sense.
Yeah.
to enjoy those. And I think they had a lot of different options this year. I think you could do that necessarily potentially with beer. Like you
Yeah.
could work with maybe the local breweries that you work with and come up with some sort of HHN themed beer, which would be kind of cool.
And maybe you just dedicate one area, one little tent
Make
to
a
be
Lil
your beer
Boo
thing. Yeah.
pumpkin ale.
Lil Boo's beer alley.
See? Hire us.
Okay.
Hire us, Universal.
I will allow Lil Boo to come back if that means we
Can you
get
imagine the
a
label?
Lil
That'd be cool.
Boo's
That'd be cool.
cart, which is just stock full of different craft beers, local beers that
That'd
are
be
brewed
sick.
specifically for the
I'd be down
the
with that.
event. And you could put that in where like the Transformers are, that bigger bar where it has like the 2 bar tops. You could easily stock that up with different kinds of beers. And
Yeah,
if people
definitely.
I mean, if you get complaints that beer is not at all the tents, then next year that
To
you have
put
the
it
market
elsewhere.
for it. So you can do it as a little bit of market research right there. Look at me using
Yeah.
big words for that. So let's do our last little miscellaneous.
Best
so that's
food
our
item.
best food item.
So we agree with the audience.
We do.
We think the pizza skull takes the
Pizza
win.
skull for me. Simple work sometimes. Another one that I did love, but I don't think a majority of people was the popcorn custard.
I didn't even have it.
It was such a weird, thin little layer of gelatin and a bunch of salty popcorn, and it was just for me. I felt like such a dirtbag eating it. But like one night, like I went by myself one night to the event, and I was just about to leave, and I was like, You know what?
I need some of that popcorn.
I'm gonna get a popcorn custard, and it comes in like a full pie tin, so it's not like a small amount.
Dude,
So I'm
none
just
of the
like,
none of the food given out. in
I'm
these
like
things
a
are-
fucking
is
trash
right. person.
standing next to the Transformers bar, eating popcorn custard like over a fucking trash can, and then like 3 of my friends walk by like while I'm trying to like shame eat my popcorn custard, and I'm like,
Yeah.
my mouth
I'm
is
a
full.
fat
I'm
ass,
like,
I get it.
Oh, hey guys, like I'm not just by myself eating popcorn custard at 12:30
There's
in
no
the morning.
shame in eating food at HHN by yourself.
Oh god, it was such a
I will give my close second for food to the zombie brains. and
Yes.
meats.
Zombie brains were-
the deep fried. I don't know if it's deep fried, but the fried cauliflower with whatever that sauce was. Chef's kiss.
it was
I had
like
it
an
like 3
Asian
times.
spice or something like
Yeah,
that.
it was so good, so good.
Yeah, that was a really good one. So next up is actually going to be our first guest announcer. So do you want to announce the award while I bring up the audio for that? So it's our first guest announcer.
We're gonna let them. We're gonna let them tell us who it is, right?
Yes, yeah. So
Okay.
this is for
All right. So this is our first guest announcer. Do we announce who it is, or
just
what-
the title,
just what the
the
award
award
is?
is.
Okay,
yeah.
I just want to make sure I got this clear. No, so this award is going to go to best scare actor in a scare zone, and this is
All right.
Oh.
What is up, Fear and Beer listeners? This is Mike and Duff from HHN 365. Thanks for having us on, guys.
Oh yeah, pleasure to be
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
I've always dreamed of being presenting awards, and here I am doing it back to back.
Although I have to say, I was promised a case of lacto cooler in my green room, and I only have 6 lacto coolers. Is that a full case? I don't know.
You were given a green room?
Yeah.
to be
it's
fair,
great
they
in
come
here.
in like
Oh,
six.
Yeah, I have a whole fridge and everything. I got some water in here.
I need
Mike-
my chicken
Mike spilled
starter
the
better
beans
than
on us.
Jess.
We still like both of
Taking
you.
over the Fear of Beer, guys. They like me better, I
Duff,
guess.
we don't hate you.
Yeah, not hard to believe.
All right, well, let's get to what we're here for.
Yeah. So we are presenting the category of. And they may have already announced this. I don't know why. I just used that.
That's
It's
okay.
Climactic at all. Best scare actor in a scare zone.
They can edit this if they want.
We're not going to.
Yeah, we'll see.
This shit's gonna be
Best scare actor in a
live.
Scare zone. Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah. You want me to do it? You want to do it?
Well, I was going to talk about the root word of character comes from the Greek, but then I realized that I have enough to riff on that. All right, let's get
I'm just reading it then. Get out of here. So, best character in the scare zone from Graveyard Deadly Unrest is the twins.
hashtag twinning. Good job, guys. Yeah, congrats.
Boo. I was booing Mike, not the winner, by the way.
Yeah.
Bad joke. Bad joke.
I'm gonna come up and slap you, Duff. I don't know if I should make that joke. I'm sure there's gotta be a slap joke on this thing, right?
We're probably not the first.
All right, I'll own that. I'll own the slap joke. All right.
Hey, well earned for the twins there. They were aggressive, they were playful, and just really added to the atmosphere of Graveyard Deadly Unrest. Well deserved. Well deserved.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having us on. If you ever want to have a 3-hour episode where we just talk about Lacto Cooler, yeah, reach out to me.
Make it happen.
Enjoy the
I
rest
will
of the
be there.
award show. We're done.
Lacto Cooler's great.
Always love the HHN 365.
Yeah, those dudes are
folks.
amazing.
They can riff on anything.
Amazing.
We got slap jokes. We got lacto
And hey-
cooler talk. All kinds of stuff.
I could riff for 3 hours about lactocooler. So,
So
if you
we'll
guys
set
want to
that
get
up.
it, you guys want to set up
We'll have to set that
an
up.
episode. Let's do that.
Yeah, so the twins. The twins again. So we are alike with the listeners on this one.
Yeah,
I
I
just
think-
thought it was
yeah.
so... it's tough because we have some honorable mentions here. Like you mentioned, the sorceress from Conjure the Dark. I really loved the female alpha demon as well in Conjure the Dark. She always
Yeah.
had the battle axe.
Yep.
I thought she did a phenomenal job throughout
I mean, even
the entire event.
actually, I mean, honestly, all of the demons in that zone were
yeah,
really
the,
good.
the little alpha demons, I think, was
Yeah,
their code name.
but
or
the,
whatever.
but the big dude,
yeah,
up on the
the big
stage with
brute
her,
guy,
he
who
was
a
good
later
too.
addition. I feel like I did.
Was he?
I feel like I didn't see him in the start.
I don't know who you are, but you're a buff motherfucker, and it fits so well for that zone.
I loved the grandpa in Sweets. Major Sweets himself.
Dude, Sweets alone.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so. I mean, this is why this award's so hard to give out because there's so many good scare actors.
I loved the little Raven people in Scarecrow.
Yep. Yep. They were my favorite in that zone.
There was just a lot going on and throughout all those zones, but I think I think it was just such a different approach to for them to take was actually being able to cast that and be able to play with what they got.
I think we've already kind of gone over it, but I mean, if they managed to find a set of actual twins to play them, I think that was an awesome. I mean,
twins, Basil.
You kind of have to at that point. Like, there's so many unique ways you can use twins in any scare zone. I think it just works. Whether they used them in Sweets and they were like two twins skipping up and down the street, eating candy and threatening people.
Reminded me of like the Nightmare on Elm Street. Girls playing hopscotch,
for
or
sure.
The jump rope or whatever. All right, so one that we actually did skip over, and that is best street piece in a zone. I think we did this just so we could solely give this award out to.
Oh, for sure.
The floats.
Yeah.
The floats in Sweets Revenge are just like
awesome.
It's just next level street design and decor.
For me, they were what they were going for.
I think that deserves a party popper. I'm gonna.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, I don't know. It's been a while, so I haven't popped one in a while. So
Ready?
All right, so 1, 2, 3.
Woo!
Oh, this one went. God, it's so potent.
Oh, it smells so bad.
It went a total of 4 inches in front of me.
There's a joke I could make there, but I'm not going to because this is a family podcast.
Is it? Is it though?
But I mean, I think what they were going for with the floats is exactly what they were going for with Zombieland with the cars. But I think it was so much better done here.
Yeah.
I think it fit the theme so well. This like town has their Halloween parade and it goes completely wrong. They just fit so well. It divided the people enough that like it didn't feel like it was too bottlenecky or it didn't feel too empty. So which was nice too. It kept it somewhat claustrophobic as well.
Yeah.
So you got more effective scares.
It almost created like lanes, like like
for
right
sure.
and left. Right is going down towards the lagoon, and the left side is going towards the tribute store.
Yeah. So I think they were, and plus they were awesome to look at. Like they were really well done.
They're
they
different.
built these from the ground up for this. These weren't like converted floats or anything like that. These are floats that they built specifically for the event. So I think it's really cool.
So next up, we have another guest announcer,
Another
presenter.
One? Oh shit!
So this is for best scare
in a scare
zone. So let me just pull up this award real quick.
Hello, Fear and Beer's second annual HHN Awards show listeners. I am Matt from the Catacombs of Halloween Horror Nights podcast, and the Fear and Beer guys have asked me to announce the winner in the category of Best Scare in a Scare Zone, which, unlike recent years, has become a tougher category now that there's a lot more sets and a lot more on the streets now that we don't have to clear the way for a daytime parade. But
Agreed.
Getting to that award, it goes to Corn Guy in Scarecrow Curse Soil. Thank you, Fear and Beer, for letting me be part of this. And to everyone listening, enjoy the rest of the award show.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you very much for jumping on. And so Corn Guy, let's talk about him real quick. Because I feel like his scare changed. And his original scare was so well that I couldn't not give it to him. And I completely understand why it changed, if it changed for the reasons that I'm thinking. But originally, he was in like that little outhouse at the end, and he would swing the door open and come out with the corn, and but the door would actually swing out.
For sure.
And it just became, I'm sure it's a safety hazard. You can't just swing a door out into people while they're walking.
Traffic, yeah.
So that, from an operations standpoint, I totally get it, but it was like the best scare. And then they changed it to like you could see that they sawed the door in half, so he could kind of open the top door a little bit. And it wasn't necessarily the same, but not only did he do that, but he also, on multiple occasions, he would lay on the haystack, so it looked like he was just a prop.
Yeah.
And then he would get up and get him, and it's a tough, and it's a tough thing to scare somebody while you're standing right in front of them.
Yeah.
But he did it well in 3 or 4 different occasions. The door open was like, that's a house scare. I mean, that's something you don't expect to see in a scare zone.
There were a couple of them in that zone. I mean, there was one that got me. It wasn't him specifically, but the scarecrow at the entrance to it, where I was starting to point at some other thing, and he banged the gate at the right. I mean, it got me like you wouldn't believe. So, props to Corn Guy. Props to everybody that worked in that scare zone because you guys did an awesome job. Yeah, I mean, if you can get scares like that in a scare zone, you're doing something right, because it's hard to do it outside with a lot of people kind of walking through.
Yeah. So do you want to announce the next one? Because again, another guest presenter.
Another guest. Holy shit,
we got a couple.
Do we have friends?
We have some friends.
Oh man, we have friends.
Some friends.
I've never had friends before. No, I'm just kidding.
But really.
No, not kind of. But so this one is a scare zone that should be a future house.
Oh, and they actually sent in a whole video.
Oh,
so
shit.
Definitely check out the YouTube page, because I'm going to pop the video right in
The corner?
this area, somewhere in the middle.
Thank you. That is enough applause. I know. I am your next guest presenter for the Fear and Beer Podcast HHN Awards. Now, some of you may know me, some of you may not, but for those who do not know me, I am Michael from Hollowed Thrills, a little channel about haunts and theme parks all up and down the East Coast, primarily in Pennsylvania and the states surrounding. But I do on occasion make it down to Florida or over out to California, so if that type of thing interests you, make sure you go and give my channel a follow. But that is enough about me. Today we're here to talk about the HHN Awards. Now, I have the prestigious honor of presenting the award for Scare Zone that should be best suited as a future house. Now, we had a ton of amazing scare zones this year, from Scarecrow Curse Soil, to Graveyard Deadly Unrest, to Sweet Revenge, Horrors of Halloween, Conjure the Dark. It's been an amazing year for scare zones. This is probably the best year that we've had in recent memory for scare zones. So it is going to be a very hard time being able to announce what this winner was. Now, before we do that, just want to say, like I said, all of you did an amazing job this year, but only one can be the winner. So, let me get that envelope. Here is
We put this
our winner.
Put our little Fear and Beer sticker on that. Love
Let's
it. Love the
find out.
addition.
The winner of Scare Zone that should be a future house, Sweet Revenge. Congratulations, everyone who was involved in Sweet Revenge this year. You guys did a fantastic job, from scare actors to set design to everything in between. This scare zone was flawless, to the point that we really think it should be a future house sometime soon. I honestly hope that we see this scare zone as a house sometime soon, because I think it would be beautiful, and some of my favorite characters in there I would love to see in a house setting. But that is all for Scare Zone that should be a future house. Back to you, Nick and Seamus.
All right.
We don't deserve that type of production.
No, their Mike's production is a lot.
It's a little better than ours.
I wish I had more time, but alas, we do not. But thank you again for presenting that award for us. Yeah, so Scare Zone that should be a future house. Now, obviously, like Graveyard would probably be a very scary house, but for me, it's similar to Graveyard Games. So like,
yeah,
the story's different, but it's a graveyard house.
I don't know how different they could get with that.
Yes,
I think that my biggest concern with Graveyard going into this year was that, it's just going to be zombies or ghouls or whatever all over again. Oh boy, here we go. But I think the ambiance and the set design and the scare actors themselves, I think, did a really good job making that a really effective scare zone. But I'd be worried about it being a house. I feel like it would be too run of the mill, too much of the same, and it's like, we've seen this before. Do we really need to see it again? Yeah. Unless they did like a Graveyard Game sequel, and they kind of tied in some of that, but like put the twins in there or something like that. But like I just don't see it working as a house.
Yeah.
Suites though.
Be a very fun house.
Would be very fun, unique,
very different
outside
feel, almost like it's inside,
like
but an outside feel,
like a Chupacabra type of setting.
Very much like that. Like, I mean, you have the characters, you have the main characters already built in. I think it would just be very fun. I mean, the costuming of the house is already done. It's just simple Halloween masks with children, and you can dive into that story a little bit more. Maybe the first little bit is part of like Major Sweets is like Candy Factory, where he's like concocting the idea to turn these children into mutants, and then as you progress, it's different scenes in the town, kind of finalizing at the Harvest Festival or whatever.
And I would be totally fine if it was just in the Sweets factory.
Yeah.
Like make that big facade, make that a big awesome facade of like a factory.
Yep.
We kind of enter through like the festival, but we go into the actual factory itself and kind of see how all the candy is made and change the kids into crazy bloodthirsty monsters.
I just think that would be a very fun house.
Yeah, for sure.
And not in like the gimmicky fun way where it's
No.
like not scary. I think it would still be
No,
scary.
I mean it would be the closest to a Halloween 3 house we would get.
yeah, I mean
really do think
essentially,
that.
yeah.
I mean, I think that if they were ever to do Halloween 3, I mean that'd be awesome. But my guess is that would be the closest thing to
Here's
it.
your Golden Skull Award. I haven't handed one out in a while. Here it is. There you go. Come get it. So next up, we are finalizing our Scare Zone areas, and this is our Best Scare Zone Award. Do you want to give this one out?
Yeah, this is not going to.
This is a popper award. I think.
is it?
I
All
think
right.
so. I gotta blast all these stupid little things off because what the fuck am I gonna do with these? They're gonna stay in my closet
So
for
they've been
3
hiding in your
years.
closet for 3 years. So this one goes to, without any surprise at all, Best Scare Zone goes to Sweet's Revenge.
Woo, again, mine didn't really go. Oh, and there's that little gunpowder smell. That's
Oh
like,
god, it's so bad. We're gonna get.
it's like
super
when
high.
you were kids when you had cap guns.
Oh, cap guns, dude.
That's
Hell
what
yeah.
That's what that smell is. But yeah, so Sweet's Revenge, for me,
Absolutely
it was just
deserving.
It's deserving, but so incredibly tight.
This
loved-
wasn't an easy decision.
I loved Graveyard Deadly Unrest. I think for me, it was just the setting and the props and the style of characters in Sweets versus in Graveyard. I loved the characters and how in depth the characters brought them. They all felt very different. But Sweets just had like that feel for me, and maybe because there's more stuff in that area and I spent more time in there. Maybe that's why I feel that way. But these are the Fear and Beer Awards, so it was very tight. I mean, also Conjure the Dark. I could sit there and watch the little shows. I spent a lot of time shooting a lot of like pictures and video over there, and the characters. The one thing that held that one down just a little bit for me is the characters there were all amazing, but there wasn't a huge variety, as you know, as like like Graveyard had probably 15 to 10 people in there. Conjure had 3 or 4 goblins, 2 like little demon guys. You had the alpha and the alpha male and female, and then you had the sorceress up top. So
and
there wasn't
the scared lady.
Yeah, so there wasn't
The Midsommar lady.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, she was.
I wish
I never saw her.
I wish they had done more with her. I felt like she was so underutilized.
Yeah.
Like I mean, she was in the Scare Zone. They had one little set piece in the show with her, but other than that, she was kind of like pushed to the side. And I feel like there was so much more to do.
She just ran around the whole night, and
Yeah.
she did a great job.
She did an awesome job.
But like, I just think, and maybe it's because that was like the location of it is limiting,
Probably.
so you can't necessarily put like 15 people over there. But that is what for me just kind of brought it just a tiny bit below the others.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
So getting into our houses, do you want to start this first award off?
Yeah, we're gonna start from the bottom, right?
Yeah. So the houses. Yeah. So scrolling right up.
Yeah. So this is the house that we need a sequel to. Which house do we think needs, as soon as possible, a sequel done for it because we think that it deserves it? And with that, this goes to Descendants of Destruction.
Yes, and I don't know where the sequel would go, but out of the houses that we received this year,
I think this one, could deserve
this one could be expanded upon. I think
a direct sequel. I think what we mean by that is like a sequel that says like literally Descendants of Destructions 2 type of thing.
Yes,
not like the
loosely tied to
not like another monster house that fits the theme of Chupacabras. Like not that's not what we're talking about. Like obviously we want to see more in that theme, but as far as like a direct sequel to the house we got this year, I think would work great. Descendants, we need to explore this lore a little bit more. I think there's more we can do with it, rather than just what we got this year. I think there's more we can do. There's more things we can explore about this particular story, and give us a more in-depth look at why did they become what they became? Like why did humanity?
Yeah, what happened?
Like what happened in this particular
and
story?
what happens next?
Right. Exactly.
So yeah, I think the whole the community as a whole would welcome another edition of the Descendants story. So moving on up now to Best Scare Actor in a House. This one, again, much like the whole...
This one was hard.
There's so many...
There's so many good scare actors.
different things going on. And this necessarily wasn't scariest scare actor in a house. I think just the most
Best,
unique, different,
iconic.
And for us, we're giving that out to the Fisherman's Widow from Dead Man's Pier. You know, playing the violin up there with the black light.
Yeah,
you
she
could
looks
see
so
her from
good.
2 or 3 different areas in the house,
Yeah.
which was really cool.
They lit her just the right way.
Yep.
Her sound cues were awesome with the music playing, and you can hear that when you walk in. You can hear it as you kind of go through the house, and you finally like. The thing is, it's one of those things where they could have just played violin music in the background, but they played it in a way where it actually felt like it was coming from where she was, and it gets louder as you get closer to her, and then they pay it off by showing her
screaming in pain,
and being on top of the ship and playing the violin and looking at you menacingly,
and adding to the story. I mean, she was
does.
the one that was summoning.
Right, it builds in the story too.
That was what summoned them back to the shore. But yeah, I mean, there was a lot of honorable mentions in there. I personally loved the Grill Man, the Grill Daddy from Descendants, and the little carnivore in his little shit bucket toilet.
I honestly wish he wasn't. I only got to see him like once.
Oh, okay.
Because he wasn't in it like the second or third time I went through there. If I had seen him more, I may have had more of an opinion.
Yeah, it wasn't much of a big interaction, but it was just
he was funny.
I liked the little area.
Yeah,
it was a fun little
funny.
area.
Yeah.
Also wanted to shout out the divers, and they're awesome. And Bungie Dracula.
Bungie Dracula. Yep.
I mean, we could go on and on about.
There's
our
so many
favorite
scare actors. So
but-
many amazing characters. I think the nurses in the Weekend House are really cool.
Yep.
Nurses, whatever, the bathroom ladies. We'll call them that.
Yeah.
I just say nurse. They remind me of the nurses from Silent Hill.
They do.
So,
bandaged up.
They were one of my favorite ones. There's so many different scare actors. We haven't even talked about like Bugs yet, and like there's a lot of good scare actors in that one. Even though I only did that house once, but that's besides the point. But there's just so many like things that you could talk about that would justifiably be considered best scare actor. So that's why I can't wait to see everybody's lists, because everybody's list is going to be different.
Yeah. So next up, we have another guest.
We have
presenter.
another guest, dude. We're so popular. I feel so popular right now. No, so this is going to be the best scare in a house.
So this person sent us 2 files.
2.
One says boring.
Oh boy.
One says best version.
Which one do you think we're gonna play?
Best.
Obviously. I would have said boring.
All right, everybody, now settle down. Hey, everyone, Hunter here from the Catacombs of Halloween Horror Nights, and I could not be more excited to hand out the award for Best Scare at Halloween Horror Nights 31. You know, it's been a rousing year full of screams, laughs, tears, and people shitting themselves, and the winner faced some tough competition.
Oh, you'll hear it.
And that is why I am pleased to announce the winner tonight is truly the king of screams and the master of frights. The Triple Monster Mash and Universal Monsters Legends Collide.
Heroes save us, not gonna stand here and wait.
Stop with the production, guys. We don't deserve it.
Where's Spider-Man? This is the slow-mo. And I watched the video for this, and Nickelback is just the ultimate, like, it's exactly what you expect. You still got the guy with the blonde spaghetti hair.
Of course.
You still got, and then the backup singer, the guitarist backup singer has like the quintessential slick, long black hair that's parted down the middle with the little like the little chin piercing.
Oh, Nickelback.
Oh,
Nickelback.
boy, oh boy. Hunter knows how to hit me in the feel spots.
God.
Yeah, so Triple Monster Mash. That scare when it is tough, because we did joke about not being able to get it all the time, but that's with everything in all these houses. You know, you're not gonna always get everything. But the last couple runs I had of Monster, I got it both times. Now, did I have to slow the line down a little bit? Yeah, I might have slowed the line a little bit, but it was worth it, because you got on one side the Wolfman coming out, the Mummy coming out, and it's cool because I feel like they got to a point where they almost tried to block you from walking out and giving Dracula time to swing in, because you have to, when you walk in straight and you have to go left, Wolfman comes out from the right to push you to the left, but then the Mummy came out on the left, and he kind of stretches his arm out to you, but almost covering the pathway. And then just then, out of the darkness, like the Dracula swings out right in front of you. It's just like, this is something that if you told me 3 characters simultaneously are going to be able to nail this, I probably wouldn't have believed you. But
yeah, I'm of the opinion that Dracula makes that scare what it is.
Oh, 100%.
And not just because he's on a bungee cord, but like he really does come out of the dark.
Yeah,
you don't even really expect it until it hits you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is, I think, probably one of the few awards that you and I aren't going to be as close on because I appreciate it. I think it's really cool when it happens. I just think that, like, it really requires you to be in a position for that to happen as you're walking through. And we all know that it's impossible for it to be that way for everybody at all times.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, when it happens, it's glorious. It's awesome. It definitely makes up for some of the other scares in that house.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, and again, that's just maybe it was just my run throughs. I don't know, but there were some scares that were really lazy, very much like
yeah,
out.
There was
two boo holes.
There was like one house, a house and a half. I felt, and I'm not gonna say names because I don't think that was the general impression of them. But unfortunately, the times that I went through them, it just felt a little lackluster.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
And this is the awards show. We're not going to talk about the negatives, but
no, we shouldn't.
But yes, there was.
My close second would be a couple of the Grabber scares in Blumhouse.
Grabber was up there.
They were some of the best scares, at least personally for me, that got me. And there were a couple scares in the Weekend House that really got me.
The one that I put from the weekend that I absolutely love,
the lady on the wall,
the Velcro wall lady.
Yeah.
It was just because I
don't expect it.
I think that was like kind of stroby when you walk into, so like you really can't see their movements.
Yeah.
And they get me every time.
And even the
it's an uncomfortable scare too.
Right. And another runner up that I don't think we even have on here is the second dude from Coven who asks you what's the password. I'm not even sitting. Like, it sounds like a joke.
He's against the back
you
wall,
can see
and
him,
he just kind of.
You think he's fake almost half the time, and then he runs up on you and goes, "What's the password?" And like, it gets you if you're not prepared for it.
Yeah, when he does that right, like that's a good one.
And I think that was a good one too.
I had the triple mummy in there because there is a little triple boo hole.
Yep.
Where that one mummy kind of just went all out. We had the bungee swimmer from Dead Man's who like, I feel like the first half of the season he was kind of, getting the ropes of things. No pun intended.
Yeah, I mean that bungee's not as good as the Dracula bungee,
no.
but it's still it was pretty good. So.
Yeah. But yeah, there's countless scares, but these are the ones that in particular stood out to us. Do you want to jump into the next one then?
Yeah. So best set design is our next award, and this one is going to go to Dead Man's Pier. I think this one is one of the few not even close seconds. For me, anyways. I think the set design in this house was, bar none, the best house.
I mean, unfortunately,
by far.
it kind of set the standard now for some sound stages.
Yeah,
for originals.
Think about it. When you first walk in and you get that cold New England snowy weather, and you really feel that her statue of the daughter, of the wife.
Yeah.
The lighthouse, walking into that tavern. I mean, it feels like you're walking in a seaside town in New England. It really does. And being from New England, we really can vouch for that. Like, it does feel like that in the dead of winter. I think it works so well. And then it did exactly what we wanted it to do. Mm-hmm. We wanted to walk down a pier and have a huge ship right next to it. We wanted to see ships in the distance. We wanted to walk onto a ship. Mm-hmm. It did everything we asked for.
Yep, and more.
And more.
Like, it was snowy, it was rainy, there was that gross fish smell, which I mentioned.
Yep.
It was cold.
The main set piece when you walk out and you see the wife playing the violin, and you see the ship. It's just it's so beautiful. It was like probably the prettiest set out of any house.
The scale was just insane.
It's hard to really try to explain more. It is.
It's going to be tough to replicate that in future houses.
It will be very hard to top that going forward.
But for runner-up, we decided to throw some runner-ups on these because there was a couple other houses that were just amazing.
Yeah.
And I think it's hard to not give this the runner-up is to Descendants. I mean, the fact that they got 4 subway trains into a tent house is just
4. And one of them you don't even really see
and it's
unless
so
you like
unnecessary.
try to look for it.
Yeah, the fourth one's so unnecessary because it's in the scene where you're walking through the subway. It's just on the other side, so it's literally there just so when you look out,
Just to see through the windows.
It seems like there's
So
an
it
extra.
feels
so
like there's two subway tracks, and they didn't have to do that. They could have just left those windows blacked
it could
out.
have just been it could have been like a
they didn't-
cement wall, like you were in
Right.
in one of the stations.
right,
But
but they didn't do that.
But they didn't.
so-
And like not only with that, but like we talked about, like you had the little grill man area, you had the whole UV light area, you had the first patch where you're walking in and it's all the batteries. Like the design in this house was just it was pretty top
Felt
notch.
like you were going underground. I
Yeah.
mean, it really gave you the impression that you were going into a subway system and underground. It,
Yep.
it really did work well
And that's why like that whole walkway in is on a slight incline.
to give you that.
So
impression,
that way
to give you
every
that
other room you're
Felt like you were
going,
going
down.
down.
So just such a slight like behind the scenes, like in the back of your mind kind of thing. That's how far in depth they actually think about these things. So yeah, I mean just Descendants really took a different approach to things. It had that tight feeling as opposed to Dead Man's, but it's tough to beat Dead Man's in a set design matchup. So next up, do you want to give out this one?
Yeah,
This is a fun one.
yeah. So this is also
Might have a popper on this one.
similar.
This is a big popper. This big popper.
Oh, this is big popper. I
Yeah,
thought we were
yeah.
saving those ones for
Party
best
time.
house.
Party time.
But no,
We
this
got a
is
couple more.
So best costume design. Again, this one was really hard to pick. I mean,
It's
there was
tough.
so many good costumes, and I'm honestly surprised we went this direction and not the other direction. But our best costume design winner is Fiesta de Chupacabras. Woo! Oh, Jesus,
Oh, that one
loud as
actually
fuck.
went off. Oh, these ones actually. Oh, those ones are
We
cool.
totally just blew everybody's eardrums
All right,
out.
I'm gonna save this next one.
We definitely need to like
Oh, well,
turn that shit down.
well, we warned you.
We warned you.
That's all right.
Sorry,
All right.
headphone users.
So Fiesta de Chupacabras. The costumes in this house were really, really fun. Like the mask maker, the butcher. I thought alone, like just the different masks were such a fun approach to this house, and just really set it apart from the others.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's surprising a little bit to go this route, but I think that they did a really good job with the designs of the various different characters, because there were a lot of different characters in this one. And then, of course, our close runner-up would be Dead Man's again. I think solely based on the divers.
Yeah,
Because
the divers
I think they had really cool costumes.
Yep.
And then, of course, all the other different characters in it. The captain was really cool looking.
The captain was great.
Yeah, so it was a hard one to kind of pick between the two. I mean, it could very easily have been Dead Man's for both of those categories, but I think Fiesta deserves some love, and that's where we're gonna go with it.
Yeah. All right. So the next up, we have another guest presenter.
Oh, we have so many guests.
So while I pull this one up, want to announce what this one is going to be.
This
for?
is the award for Best Interior Facade. So Best Facade.
Hello there. My name is Jonathan.
And I'm Christy.
Hey guys.
And we're here from the Hung Up on Horror podcast to present to you guys the Best Interior Facade Award for HHN31.
That's right. And this is an exciting category because, as we all know, HHN31 had a lot of really amazing interior facades. I mean, you had the forced perspective and the incredible lighting effects in Fiesta de Chupacabras.
The massive sets and wonderful storytelling in Universal Monsters Legends Collide.
The unforgettable pumpkin in that hallway in Halloween.
Classic.
And the groundbreaking projection in the horrors of Blumhouse.
It truly is a
projection.
very tough choice. But, Jonathan, I think you have the envelope. Who is our winner?
Oh yes, the very real envelope in front of me.
The actual physical envelope.
We
that's
mailed
sitting
them
on
out
your
for sure.
desk right
Yeah,
now.
With the stickers.
Exactly, and I'm picking it up with my hands and preparing to open it.
Your physical hands.
Correct.
As opposed to the non-physical hands.
So, the winner for Best Interior Facade is... Hold on, I gotta rip it open. All right, pulling it out now. Here it is. It's Dead Man's Pier.
Yay!
Now, I was incredibly shocked to see with this real paper in front of me that it did not have Hell Block Horror because of the H alone. I mean, that H was better than anything in this year's event, if I'm being completely honest.
It's truly a miracle.
Best of all
Truly a
H's.
miracle. But anyway, congratulations, Dead Man's Pier, and thank you so much to Fear and Beer Podcast for having us on.
Absolutely. And if you want to check out our HHN podcast, Hung Up on Horror, in which we provide the most terrible of takes, you can find us at
join the
Hung
club.
Up on Horror on any podcasting platform. And if you want to find us on social media, Christy, where could they find us?
Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Hung Up on Horror.
Another fun little batch of people, Christy and Jonathan. I was with Jonathan on the Catacombs episode a while ago, and it was just I've listened to them for a little bit, but we haven't ever been able to interact. Like, I don't want to say one-on-one because there was like 10 of us on that show, but just a fun time. But let's get back into the awards. So, best interior facade, Dead Man's Pier. I mean, was there really a question?
No, I mean, I think maybe Halloween had a chance to potentially take it because that house is really cool to see the Myers house. But I think that, again, we've already kind of talked about it. When it comes to when you walked into that house, did you actually feel like you were in the setting that the house was going for? And I think with this one, it totally hit it.
Yeah.
The moment you walk into that house, you are transported to a cold New England pier in the dead of winter at night with driving rain. It just felt like you were there.
Yeah. We do have a runner-up again for this one, and this one it was close for me. And the runner-up, and I believe Christy was the one that mentioned this in their introduction, is Fiesta de Chupacabras.
Yeah.
The way they forced that perception of like the landscape of the cityscape just kind of progressing backwards.
Yeah.
You had the sounds, you had the party sounds, you had the firecracker sounds, you had the mask maker right there, you had like the little chain link fence. It did what Dead Man's did in a sense where you did feel like you were walking into not a haunted house. It felt like you were walking into the actual story itself. The one thing, I mean, I know that facade is kind of the visual, but for me, what really put it over with Dead Man's we talked about was the temperature. It completely encompassed you into that area. So it was tough to not give it to Dead Man's Pier. So we did best interior facade. Shall we jump over to best exterior facade? And there really wasn't many exterior facades this year, but we felt like we still needed to give one out because
there weren't
it was
a
worthy.
lot. But this one would have probably won regardless because I think that it works so well, and it was. Sorry, I'm losing my track of mine here. Sorry, hold on. Oh, duh. Sorry, I got lost. This is what happens when I look at lists. No, the best exterior facade goes to Descendants of Destruction.
Yep.
It's where Puppet Theater was last year, so they have plenty of space
great job
to put something there. And for a sprung tent, it totally masks that. You don't even realize it's a sprung tent.
No, not
at all. And it feels like it isn't because there's so much inside of it.
Yeah.
And when you first walk in, you're like, "Holy shit! Like this isn't a tent." But yeah, so the front, the facade works really well. It feels like it's post-apocalyptic. It feels like society is crumbled.
Grungy,
it's
dirty.
it's gross.
And then we decided to give a little runner-up. I think it's probably the only other house with an exterior facade, but that goes to Bugs for their cute little BuzzCon sign.
Yeah, I mean, again,
it was
I can
fun.
see why people might like that one more.
It was fun.
Because it was fun, and it gave off that 50s vibe, and it played the 50s style announcer and music and that sort of thing. But so I think it fits.
All right, so do you want to announce the next one? Because we have our final guest presenter.
Another guest.
Our final guest
Holy
presenter.
crap, we're so popular. Yeah, so this is the most fun house. Which house did we have the most fun with? Which one did we maybe not quite not good enough to be best house, but still we had a really good time with it.
Yep.
And it did exactly what we wanted it to do. So we will go over to...
Good evening, everyone. Before we announce the next winner, how about a round of applause for our esteemed hosts and venerated guests? Thank you. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. My name is Dakota from the Horror Nights Gauntlet and Cathode Coaster, and I am joined tonight by absolutely no one to present the award for Most Fun House. But what is fun? Is fun quantifiable? Is fun objective? I don't know the answer to these questions, but I can tell you that F is for friends who do stuff together.
Oh.
U is for you and me. And N is for anywhere and anytime at all down here in the deep blue sea. The nominees for most fun house are... Well, they didn't actually tell me the nominees, but it is a safe bet that they are the same 10 houses in every category.
Not
I see
wrong.
Bugs looking around the room anxiously. Legends Collide looks like you've had a few drinks tonight, huh? Yeah, I bet we will see you at the after party. We have the envelope. And the winner is... The Weekend After Hours Nightmare!
Yes.
Thank
So,
you, Dakota.
The Weekend, most fun house. I feel like this is definitely one of your
This
up
is
your alley. So why don't you go off on it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally comfortable giving it the most fun house. I can understand why we wouldn't give it best house. I don't think it was necessarily the best house. But for me, it was a close second. I see what you're doing there. I think it had a party vibe, which is exactly what you wanted from it. It did exactly what I wanted it to do. It felt like a fever dream. It felt like walking through somebody's basically waking nightmare. And it fit the theme of his music videos. I know that some people don't like that. Some people felt like it was boring or there's so many more things they could do with it. I think that for what they were going for, I think it captured the essence of what his music is. It captured the essence of what he was going for in his music videos, and it kind of just, it worked. And I like when people take a swing at something, and I felt like that's what they did. They really took like a swing on this and said, "How can we make this work as a house?" And I think it worked out. I think it did exactly what it set out to do. And that doesn't mean it didn't have good scares either. I think it had great scares. There were a number of times in that house that you're like, whoa, shit.
A lot of good scares, a lot gorier than I thought.
Yeah, and I think, piece that together with the music, I think it came together for one crazy experience. And you could tell. I mean, you wait in line for that house.
It was a party.
Everybody was having fun. Everybody was
absolute
singing
party
music,
in that
dancing.
Yeah, I don't think that you can necessarily debate that this is not a fun house. You can say you can say that it doesn't belong. You could say that you didn't enjoy it. You can say whatever. And like Dakota said, is it quantifiable? Is it? No, it is. It is very.
Right.
It is our opinion. So I mean, you can't necessarily say this for everyone, but I think for the most part, the majority would agree that this is a very fun house, and that's the part that really made this a scary house. Which I've said before is that the music and the dance vibe. Music is like a safe haven for people. So when you hear the song, it takes you out of the fact that you're in a haunted house, and you start dancing and singing. And you're like, ooh, touch,
right.
touch.
Yeah.
And then, bam, that's when you get a scare. So like, it used the music. It used the music against you.
It used it effectively.
Yeah.
And I think that, for the most part, it did exactly, like I said before, it did what it set out to do. Probably want to stop playing that because we're gonna get copyright struck on YouTube. But
get pulled.
No, I think that I can totally understand why people wouldn't like it. I get it. And I think it's fair to say that if he may not necessarily be what you think of when you think of Halloween or when you think of horror, but I think that I can appreciate when somebody when someone takes a swing on something and actually tries to make something different and doesn't just give us the same, 4 houses or 5 houses of just like 3 or 4 different slasher killers or something like that. Like I'm totally fine with the IPs, but like I think this one is at least they tried something different.
It's different. It's fun.
I mean, granted. I mean, I look at it this way. If you're gonna give Rob Zombie a scare zone specifically for his music, I don't see why you can't do a scare zone or a house for other artists if if A, they agree to it, and B, their music fits the theme of Halloween. And I think a lot of Weekend's music does.
Yeah.
And it really does.
And that's the thing too, is like the music, I don't know, I don't listen to the lyrics as much because like when you listen to Blinding Lights, I don't think the music is necessarily horror. But when you watch the videos, that's where it really takes that next step to like, okay, I understand.
If you do invest some time in looking into the lyrics, it does match a lot of what's going on in the video, and a lot of it is pretty dark. Like I've stated before in other episodes, I think that it may not immediately come off or sound like darker music, but he definitely is speaking of deeper topics that most pop artists won't touch because it's not, it's not usually something that they're going to talk about. Like,
Yes.
I think with his music, it's very much from his, experiences, and I think they tend to fit that theme of a darker look at LA, a darker look at the music industry, a darker look at just being somebody that happens to be famous. I think there's a lot of things that, that you can look at and say that, man, it really does seem like a horror show. So
Yeah.
I think it worked great. I think the house worked out great. I think, like I said before, my expectations were going to be hard to top because I was already expecting quite a bit. And I think it met those expectations. I think for someone like you, I think it blew away the expectations that you had.
Yes, yeah. It definitely exceeded the expectations.
And I think for a lot of people, it was the same in that manner. I think a lot of people were expecting mid. They weren't expecting a whole lot, and it definitely exceeded those expectations. I'm sure that there were a number of people that went there specifically for that house, and that's what they cared about. But yeah, I don't know. I'm totally comfortable giving it most fun house.
Yeah. And we did do a runner-up for this as well. And again, this is a most fun is coming from our perspective.
Your perspective.
Well, you didn't have... No, this wasn't your runner-up?
I was not... I did not have...
You didn't have fun?
No, I mean...
I had fun going.
I would have probably given
revisiting
this one
house
closer to runner-up for best house, but
Okay.
that's just me.
Okay.
I'm not saying I didn't have fun with it,
Yeah.
but I feel like there are other houses that I think were more fun than this one specifically.
So the one that I decided on that I had a lot of fun in was revisiting Halloween again. The classic 1978. Right when you go through the first and you hear the Michael, and then you get into the scene. Just that long hallway with the the music playing, the logo up top. It was nice seeing something. Rarely because the lines were 2 hours long, but it was nice like that cornerstone of Halloween.
Yeah, I get that. I think my runner-up for fun would be Fiesta.
Fiesta, okay.
I think there were a lot of set pieces or a lot of effects in that house.
The little
that
firecrackers
made it fun. The firecrackers,
the bodies sliding away,
a lot of like the moving things that the chupacabras,
the little puppet,
like the different things, the puppets themselves.
Oh yeah, the chicken coop
the
and stuff like that. Yeah.
There was so many things in that house that you didn't need scare actors for.
No.
And it still gave you a fun experience.
Yeah. It is definitely a fun house. So let's jump up into this one. We are down to our final 3 awards.
Big ones.
So
big ones.
Best cast.
As in best group of scare actors.
Best group of scare actors in a house. Most energetic. Most just kind of over the top. And then I think we probably kind of talked about this previously as well. But the cast of this house really made it.
Yep.
And the award for best cast goes to Universal Monsters Legends Collide. They definitely brought this house to a new level. I think that, and I know I think you agree with the fact that the cast itself was a shining moment.
I
of
do.
This house.
I think they were the only reason to experience this house.
Yeah.
I'll say that straight up. And you can be mad at me all you want, but they're the only reason this house was worth it. I mean, again, I don't want to take anything away from the set design. I think it was decent set design, but I feel like the cast was what brought it to life.
Mm-hmm.
And if you didn't have a good cast in there, it could have easily been a lot more boring.
Yeah,
it
if
could
the
have been
cast
very just blah.
If they didn't go as hard as they did, I wouldn't have frequented this house as much as I ended up doing.
Right.
So yeah, we can't really say enough about them. Here's your little plastic skull skull. You're gonna have to share with.
And then the reason why I
other
can
people.
understand why they went best house or house of the year.
House of the year,
is because the scare actors totally carried that house.
Yeah, no. But we did do a runner-up for this one as well. For runner-up, we gave it to Descendants. I thought the cast in this one was really fun as well.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of like how close can they get to my face without touching me, and they push the boundaries.
Yeah, and I feel like this is also another house where the cast. I mean, not to say the set design was bad in this one either, but I think the cast made this one a lot better.
This was another house that was like we talked about as a biggest surprise candidate. Yeah. We didn't know much about it, and I'm sure they didn't necessarily either. So they just kind of had to work with what they were given, and then after a couple weeks, they kind of got into the groove of things, and then realized, okay, I get this a little bit more now. I understand. So yeah, no, they had fun with it. I had fun with it. Every time I walked by the Grill Daddy's poop bucket, I had a nice little chuckle because it was always a security guard standing in front of it. No, it was just a fun house. So do you want to jump up to this next one? Because this one is all you. This award's all you.
So Nick had to give this one to me because we all know that this really wasn't the scariest house. But so the scariest house award goes to Bugs Eaten Alive.
Woo! Oh, when the crowd goes.
And now you're all going like,
bonkers.
Are you serious? Are you serious? Listen.
For some people, Seamus.
Let's just say I've never seen him laugh harder in a house than when he went through Bugs with me the one time I went through Bugs. I'm pretty sure the whole time I was like, fuck, shit, Christ, fuck, and I'm freaking out because all the little freaking twine touching my face, touching my back, and I'm freaking out, and I got bugs everywhere, and I hate bugs.
Little plastic Oriental trading bugs.
It literally made me feel exactly how I knew it was going to make me feel, and I was like, there's no way. I mean, I'm probably going to be fine. This is going to be okay.
It's gonna be
I
jokey.
literally went through this house one time. One single time, and I didn't do it the rest of the season. I don't blame myself, and no shame at myself, and you can say what you want and make fun of me. That's fine. I don't care. That house literally gave me the heebie-jeebies, and the fact that I barely got through the lights on tour, like the unmasking the horror tour, I'm surprised I got through that even, and that was lights on. So, yeah, scariest house because Seamus is a baby and hates bugs. But our runner-up could also probably win this award too,
justifiably, yes.
Which we give to Blumhouse.
Yes.
Because I think that house, again, also one that we could have given most surprising to too.
Yeah. Yep.
Because we didn't expect a whole lot from it.
No,
and
especially its past. Like, the previous iterations weren't as well received.
Yeah,
and
it did so well. But I mean, at least the second half of that house, the black foam part of that house, the one part of the house that I thought wasn't going to be great, was probably one of the scariest houses this year.
This is the better half.
It was so unbelievably unrelenting, very dark, very hard to see certain things. Claustrophobic. The grabbers had some of the best scares of the event, and I will go to the end of the earth to promoting that, because I really do think that they tried really, really hard. Because I think they were also, much like Monsters, was given material where it's like, you're going to be in the black phone house. The black phone? You mean the
guy with the mask and an axe?
And the one that takes place in like one room?
Yeah.
And they managed to instill dread the entire time. And the thing is like, it was one of those houses where no matter how many times I went through it, and whether I knew the scares were coming or not, they got me every time. And I'm a hard person to jump scare because I'm usually anticipating it, because that's just how I am.
And once you've been through a house, like, you know where boo holes are.
You start to anticipate things, and I just anticipate them to begin with. I'm one of those bad house guests where I'm constantly looking like around corners
like
and
where?
shit. Like
where are you?
I'm waiting for it, and it got me every single time I went to that house. So props to the characters playing the grabber in that house. You guys did great. And again, that's not taking anything away from Freaky. I just think Freaky was definitely the more fun side of that house.
Yeah.
The more party.
Yeah,
the
party,
side
party
of the house,
vibe for sure.
The party vibe, whereas Black Phone was more serious, darker, and just it worked so well. So I think this one, although runner-up here, I could see why we would have picked that one as best, as scary as us too.
So now on to
this is the big one.
This is definitely a popper one. Where's the good poppers? This is a good popper. Those cone ones.
Be away from the microphone. We're gonna blow people's eardrums out.
I'm gonna do two poppers.
Two poppers.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna go crazy for best house. So this is our best house award. And I don't know if this is necessarily gonna come as a surprise to anybody, but the pop is coming in 3, 2, 1. Dead Man's Pier, Winter's Wake. This one didn't pop. It's got all the stuff right here.
Oh,
Look
it
at
smells
that
so bad.
Oh, it's like, it looks like fog. I need it. If you've listened to this podcast for any amount of time, I'm sure. I mean, we are objective. If this was a bad house, we still wouldn't have given it best house, just because of how much we do appreciate it. But no, I mean,
well, the reason
and for us, best house is like, it's
not
different from what other people have to justify it as.
Again,
it's very objective.
We understand the justification for giving Monsters House of the Year.
Yes.
We understand that. But I think we look at it beyond just what scare actors are capable of. I think it goes, a whole bunch of things have to go into it. Set design, facade design, how well does it, I've said this already 3 times, but how well does it transport you to the place that you're going? I don't think Monsters did as good enough a job as Dead Man's did at transporting me to the setting, to the location of, where we're supposed to be. Now, say what you will about the scare actors in this house. I think they did a really good job. I think that they did as best they could with the scares that they were given. And I think that there was a lot of variety in the scare actor costumes and the scare actors themselves. Monsters, you had 3 scare actors. A mummy, Dracula,
and a wolfman.
And
the Pharaoh.
And, okay,
yeah,
sure.
But side characters.
My point is that like those are your 3 scare actors.
Those are the most distinct ones.
Yeah, and the thing is like, for me, all of those things together make Dead Man's by and far the best house this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not just because we anticipated it being the best house or that we wanted it to be the best house. I think it truly was the best house. Because as far as I'm concerned, I could have easily said The Weeknd.
Yeah.
Because The Weeknd for me was like top 2 or 3 behind Dead Man's. And it's close for me. I know for some people it's a little bit further apart, but for me that's close.
Yeah.
But I can't not give it to Dead Man's because of all of those things that come together. And this is not me just trying to hate on Monsters. I get it. I understand. Like everyone's like, "Oh, you just hate Monsters." Blah, blah, blah. No, I don't just hate the Monsters house. It just didn't speak to me. I didn't like the story. I thought the story was stupid.
Just fine. Make your own podcast and give Monsters best house.
I mean, that's fine. Yeah. I mean, I can understand why you'd like it, but like for me, I'm just not a huge fan of it.
Yeah.
I don't think, even knowing the story, no matter how well the scare actors did, no matter what they did, could not convey that story to me.
No, you're never gonna get the true full story of Monsters going through.
But
that
with
house.
Dead Man's, I don't need someone to explain it to me.
You know what's going on.
I know the story. They convey the story to me, in both their words and their actions. I know what's happening. I know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much like the movie The Fog. I mean, it gives you that same vibe of dead sailors coming to shore because of a siren's call.
Yeah.
And that's just, to me, it's as close to a perfect house as we're going to get.
Yeah.
I really do think that. And I'm not just saying that facetiously. I think it's as close as we're going to get to the perfect house. It's going to be very hard to top. We've talked about this already. I think it's going to be one of the hardest houses they find topping because of how well this one came out. And I think the scare actors did a great job. I think the scare actors' costumes were great. I think it all just kind of fit into one great package.
Yeah,
I really did.
We've already talked throughout this whole episode about how much we love this house. So I don't know if we need to go more in depth on it, but it's going to hold a special place in my little black HHN heart for a while. So our runner up,
this one I think surprised both of us.
I think with averaging everything out, I think that we can both kind of agree on this.
No,
one.
I agree with this. Yeah.
Our runner-up is very surprising. It's actually Blumhouse.
It is Blumhouse. Yeah.
I had a lot of fun in this house. There was good scares. The design was really cool. It was not repetitive at all, which is what we feared going into it. And I distinctly remember that opening night where I walked in. I was like, okay, it's kind of cool, little freaky projection, whatever. We go through freaky. We finish. We take a right turn. And we're entering a second house. And I get it that, like, they're abridged houses, but just that initial feeling of being like, wow, this is a treat. It's almost like 2 houses. Like, and I know people, like, you have to combine it all as one house, but, like, while going through it,
I think the best
that
decision,
feeling of 2 houses was just
the best decision they made was giving that split.
Yes.
Really breaking it up and saying, here's one half of a house, here's another half of a house, and they're 2 different properties. I think if they tried to like mash it together in some way, it would never have worked.
It would have been tough to translate that all. And it was nice too, like Freaky started with the curse of them switching and it ended with them switching back. You go out and you go into Black Phone and you hear the intro of the grab, like the kid's missing, blah, blah, blah. And it tells the entire story of both of these movies in 2 separate abridged houses. And like I said, I do put them. You have to put them together because it is one house. But that initial feeling when you first walked through it, much like when I initially walked into Dead Man's Pier, I was like, "This is everything I've wanted." When I walked into that little area before entering Black Phone, I was like, "This is special." It felt like a little treat.
Yeah.
Wow.
I would agree.
So those are our HHN 31 Beer and Beer Awards.
Wow.
Whew. I can't wait to take this suit jacket off because I'm sweating profusely.
It's really hot wearing these two.
But wow, thank you guys all so much for listening. Thank you for the listeners that participated in our Listeners Awards. Thank you to every single guest presenter that jumped onto the episode, sent us in a recording.
Thank you to Universal.
Made this special. Thank you, Universal, for another event. Thank you for everyone behind the scenes. Thank you to all the scare actors, the designers, the crew, the food and beverage, every single person that makes this event happen.
You're all winners.
Yeah.
Like, these awards don't matter in the grand scheme of things.
If I could afford 1,000 little miniature plastic skulls, I would send you all
I think
one.
everybody, I mean, there was no bad house. There was no bad scare zone. There was no bad scare actor. Everything was great.
Yeah.
It's just varying levels of great. And that's really what it comes down to. And you guys give us something to look forward to and talk about for 10 months out of the year.
Yeah.
Just to sit here and wait and beg for September to come again, because we love it so much. It's what we love to do. So we definitely want to thank everybody who puts all their time and effort into making this thing happen.
Yep. If for whatever reason you are listening to this podcast episode and you are a scare actor in the scare zones and you haven't followed us on social media, follow us, because I spent a majority of this season taking pictures, taking videos. So there's a good chance that I have some of you. So why don't you look around?
Up in a picture.
If you want to see if I have some, by any means, please reach out. I have some other videos that I'm going to be editing, and hopefully those will be out shortly. But like you were mentioning, talking about Horror Nights all the way through, next week we will be back. And we're already doing our way too early HHN 32 speculation. I know, there's nothing out there to speculate about, but this is another fun episode that I love enjoying.
We've already got one announcement. So.
Yeah, I love doing, because we generally we're wrong 9 times out of 10, but the fact that I can put something out in November and then come August be like, oh shit, we called this. It's fun, so I can't wait to kind of do some research, check what's coming out, try and dig through some stuff and see how many things I could actually get right. Because we did get like 2 or 3 things correct last year, and we put it out in October last year.
We did.
So I'm excited for that. So be sure to check us out next week. We're going to do our way too early predictions for HHN 32. But until next time, this is Nick.
And this is Seamus, the Monster Hater.
Happy HHN 31 awards. Where's the little audience clapper guy? There he is. Let's get him one more time. We'll see y'all next week.
You know, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare.
And again, I would just like to thank Vampire Stepdad for letting us use his music for our intro and outro music. So if you would, just go check him out. Spotify, Facebook. Again, that is Vampire Stepdad.